the Arizona Cardinals. Matthew R. Scott, thanks for joining me to talk about this NFC West division. The Arizona Cardinals just picked up Mike LaFleur from the Rams to be their offensive coordinator. Does it do enough to get them much more than they got last year? I have them going 4-13. You have them going 4-13. This division's just too difficult. Now, I have them picking up a win against the Seahawks, just because they played the Seahawks close last year, and I think this team absolutely could have a shocker in them, right? But it just doesn't feel like this is a good place for them to compete right now, where the division's at. What do you say about this Cardinals team?
Yeah, I mean, I love the LaFleur pickup, by the way, because yes, he was the offensive coordinator on the Rams. He now becomes the head coach of the Arizona Cardinals. And I love what that does for the Cardinals in terms of getting a guy with good experience that has shown and proven that he can make good decisions and good play calls, as he did with the Rams. Rams last season, their offense was like untouchable. It was awesome. That being said, I think the question comes back to who is the quarterback going into this year now that they've lost Kyler Murray. You and I had exchanged a few notes prior to this about kind of some QB drama there. Can you remind me a little bit about what we were talking about there, Joseph?
Yeah, so I mean, essentially right now, Jacoby Brissett should be the starter. He's under contract to, essentially be the starter, but he knows that this is a lose-lose for him, because either he plays and looks terrible because this team sucks, and then they draft the guy to replace him, or he plays, they look terrible, he sucks, they draft a guy to replace him, but he gets paid to be able to do that, right? And right now he's just not making starter money. He's like, if I'm going to be the starter, I want starter money, because otherwise I'm just looking bad for no reason. So there's that contract dispute now. If he decides not to hold out, not to start, it would be Gardner Minshew, who I think is a step behind Jacoby Brissett for sure, but not like that far of a step. And it's the Cardinals aren't like, oh, well, I guess we really wanted to win this season, so let's pay you, a ton of money. Like, the Cardinals aren't really trying to win the season anyway, right? So I think it's a lose-lose for Brissett. It's a lose-lose for this organization, outside of, getting to possibly get a high pick in the draft for a possible quarterback in 2027. But the Cardinals just are an uninteresting team to me this year, especially in the context of this division.
I am excited for the pick up of the first round draft pick, Jeremiah Love. I think he's going to be exciting to watch out of Notre Dame. So tough to watch. Good
call. That should be fun to watch for sure. What's more fun to watch than Jeremiah Love? The Los Angeles Rams, possibly.
The entire offense, yes.
The entire offense. Pick any player on the offensive line of the Rams, and I think you'd have more fun watching that than watching this Cardinals team as a whole. They pick up, obviously, Myles Garrett in the offseason. Massive, massive, massive pickup. The best defensive player in the league. They lose Jared Verse, who was their up-and-coming star, but a small price to pay for what this team expects to be Super Bowl caliber team. Possibly the best defensive football, if not right behind the Texans. One of the best offenses in football. Where's the weakness in this team is I just don't know. I have them going 13-4. You have them going 12-5. Both of us have the Rams winning the division by just barely over the Seahawks. What do you like about this Rams team?
Everything that you just said. I love the fact that this Rams team does not seem to have that many flaws. No team is definitely perfect. But you have Matthew Stafford coming off of an MVP season, not even an MVP caliber, like an MVP season. He won the NFL MVP last year. So a lot of people are like, oh, well, the Rams are going all in around Matthew Stafford for one last run. It's like, yeah, maybe. Like, I know that Matthew Stafford has had some questionable back injuries. Early last season, we were cautiously optimistic about Matthew Stafford. Then he wins the MVP, right? This year, we're going all in and saying, hey, this is awesome. But should that mean that we should maybe be cautious about what could happen in going into the later parts of the season. Maybe he is getting older. He's reached that threshold that he's above 40 years old. But like you said, they bring in Myles Garrett. They bump up the defense. They bump up the offense even a little bit. They're preparing for the future by bringing in Ty Simpson, their backup quarterback. I think that this is a Rams team that is set up for a lot of success this year and years to come.
Quick question on Ty Simpson. You are much more informed on the college game than I am. It just seemed like such a weird pick for a Rams team that is trying to go all in. They traded for Myles Garrett. Why not use that pick to bolster up something in the offense or on the defense? Do you see the reason why is Tyson what's his name?
Ty Simpson,
I forget. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Is there a reason for that? Do you see the vision on it?
Okay. This is actually an excellent question. It does get kind of more like of a personal opinion here. When I say that the Rams are set up for success for years to come, I actually don't really mean that in terms of the quarterback room. I mentioned Ty Simpson there, and then I said that the Rams are set up for years to come. I should clarify. I actually don't love Ty Simpson. So that kind of sounds counterintuitive to what I was just messaging there a minute ago. I don't think that there is anything truly amazing. I mean, he's a quarterback from Alabama, and we've seen a lot of talent in the league from quarterbacks from Alabama, but we've also seen a lot of fall-offs from quarterbacks in the league that played at Alabama. I think the most successful quarterback from Alabama that's come out of the Nick Saban / this Jalen DeBoer era has been Jalen Hurts. So I personally am not super high on Ty Simpson, and I think that they could have done a little bit more with that. That being said, let's not take away from how good this Rams team is and the success that can still come from some of their younger offensive players in years to come.
Love it. Let's go to the 49ers. This team is in a weird kind of limbo area to me because they should be good enough to be able to compete for a playoff spot, to compete in the playoffs, but you've got to play the Rams twice a year. You've got to play the Seahawks twice a year. And you've only lost pieces in the past year. I am a Brock Purdy truther. I like Brock Purdy as a quarterback. I think he fits Shanahan's system. It's hard to say that Kyle Shanahan won't be able to get this offense to run efficiently enough to get them to the playoffs, but it's an uphill battle. There's just so much that you've got to do to be able to not only stay healthy, which has been a really big struggle for this team, especially for their star players, but the teams that you face are just juggernauts. I have them going 8-9, just missing out on the playoffs. You've got them going 9-8, also just missing out. What do you see in this 49ers team?
Yeah, Joseph, last few years for the 49ers have been truly like they're going all in right now to win the Super Bowl this year. It's this year or bust. I think I've said that for 2 seasons in a row now. So in my opinion, we are now to the bust. I mean, I don't think that the 49ers have the depth or the age to continue to make deep playoff runs. I think that they are only regressing, and that is more of a pessimistic outlook. I think that I would anger a lot of 49er fans in saying that. Truly, I know a lot of 49er fans that I would anger in saying that, and that would counter argue. They'd be like, no, we made this move. We've brought in Mike Evans. It gives Purdy this elite physical red zone target. We've brought in Dre Greenlaw, who returns after his year in Denver to the defense. Yeah, you're making moves, and that's not to take away from the fact that the Niners are trying to do things. I just don't think that they have all of the answers. If Christian McCaffrey can have an MVP caliber season, then you know what? They might be able to sneak in as a wild card, but you have a tough schedule, as you mentioned. That's where I'm at with them.
And the pieces that you're picking up aren't Myles Garrett, right? Like,
right.
That's
your
the
divisional
difference.
opponents. Mm-hmm.
Everyone in the NFC playoffs is making moves to to win the Super Bowl, and it feels like the 49ers are making moves to stay in playoff relevancy, not to go all in. These are not all in moves. This is, I don't want to lose moves. And that's the difference. The Seattle Seahawks didn't seem to make too many moves in this offseason either. I mean, not compared to obviously the Rams who make a blockbuster trade, but it's not like they're going to have that much of a fall off either. They are also able to draft a running back to replace the one out the door. I have them going 12-5, just eking out second place in that division. You've also got the Seahawks going 12-5. What do you like about the Seahawks team?
It's actually, the question for me should be, and then the funny thing is the Seahawks, I still have them going 12-5. They're barely losing in a tiebreak to the Los Angeles Rams, if I have that right, or they're a game behind the Rams. However that kind of plays out, the reason that I have them so high, the reason that I like them so much is actually not very intuitive. It's the fact that they won the Super Bowl last year, right? They do lose Kenneth Walker. They lose Kobe Mayo. There's a bunch of guys that they lose there on their roster because that's just what happens in football and stocks in general, right? You buy low, sell high. And that's what happens is the Seattle Seahawks, they go up, they look amazing. They win the Super Bowl. They sell some of their players high. They get a lot of future value out of them, try to rebuild around them. But I don't think that it's necessarily like a win now perspective. This will not be a team that goes back-to-back Super Bowls. I would be shocked if the Seattle Seahawks made a deep run in the playoffs this year. I just don't think it's sustainable. I think that they're just trying to prepare for another few years down the road to make another Super Bowl run. That being said, they still get a lot of good wins out of this season, including wins over the Chiefs, the Chargers, some of those AFC West opponents, but they are not able to necessarily do everything that it takes to be relevant again and Super Bowl champs.
I like the pickup of Jadarian Price at pick 32, and I think this defense is still really good. I think that's what really got them to this spot, is not necessarily the offense, but the defense, right? Defense wins championships. We saw that with the Seahawks team. But I'm with you. Did they do anything that just keeps them up at that level besides drafting a replacement rookie running back, which you don't really know the outcome for? Not only that, the rookie running back who was the running back 2 in his own college offense behind Jeremiah Love, right? So it's tough to see what the Seahawks team is going to be. I agree. I wouldn't be I wouldn't plan on the Seahawks winning the Super Bowl again, but I, unlike you, would not be shocked if they did, because the defense is still really good. The head coach has built this defense from essentially the ground up to compete with the best of the best, to play against specifically this division in the Rams and the 49ers. So don't be shocked if the Seahawks win the Super Bowl again. But I would be, I wouldn't put my money on the Seahawks to win it again, for sure. So Matthew, thank you so much for joining me on NFL Talking Points to talk NFC West. You can find him at Matthew R. Scott Sports Show, at Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Also check him out on Instagram. Matthew, thanks for joining the show.
Thanks, Joseph. As always, great takes.